But at the end of the day, it comes down to what your values are. You could be like a stone cold utilitarian, and that sounds good to you. It doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah, me neither. No, I'm not. I'm definitely not that. I actually have a problem with utilitarianism. But given that we're talking about utilitarianism, and I know how there's this predators discussion going around. I know your position that you say. So let me reiterate if I understand your position correctly. Your position is that we should kill predators to save the victims, right? To save the prey, the animals that are prey, correct?
More specifically, my position is that killing odd order predators is either morally justified or morally good. It might even be a good thing.
Okay, but does that mean, because does that mean that right now, let's say you have the power right now to do this, does that mean that you would go in the wild and kill the lions?
If I would do it, if I had a gun, I'm seeing the lion
Is
right
the
from
lion?
me, I would kill it. It would be a good thing.
I want to understand.
He killed the being, the lion or whatever. Yeah.
Heri, can you explain a little, because I don't know exactly what the thing with the odd order, like who's not who, like I don't understand much about that, the odd order
Sure.
thing.
I'm happy to clarify. Do you know what I'm referring to with odd order and or even order predator?
I understand what you mean, right? You mean that this is a predator to this, and then the next predator to this, so that basically animals don't eat each other. That's the point of it, right?
Exactly. So an odd order predator would be like a primary predator, a predator that's primarily or entirely killing innocent prey animals, like innocent herbivores. So that would be a odd order predator. An even order predator would be a predator that's eating other predators. So it's doing the job for you of killing other predators. So it would be a bad thing to kill that predator.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mentioned my position to you on Instagram, and I believe that I personally wouldn't go around killing all the lions with this, but I am in the middle of it. Like, I believe that if I'm in the wild and I'm noticing that a lion is about to attack, and this is where kind of I become utilitarian a bit with it, right? Because if
There's some
lion,
people in the audience saying this position is not consistent with veganism. I'm happy to argue for it being not only consistent with veganism, it extending logically from vegan values. But go ahead and clarify your view.
Yeah, so my view is that if I'm in the wild and I see a lion attacking a gazelle, yeah, I don't know. I would try to stop the lion, I guess, not necessarily kill them. I would try to stop them. I don't. Let's say if somehow in this hypothetical, I would know that the lion will die if they don't eat the gazelle, then I believe it's either the lion or the gazelle, and I'm not at liberty to make this decision. So because just because I'm in a position of power where I could choose between one or the other doesn't mean I get to. So then I wouldn't necessarily kill anyone and just let them handle it on their own. Maybe the gazelle runs away. Maybe the lion eats the gazelle. I don't know. If the lion dies otherwise. But then if a lion attacks a family of gazelles, then maybe this is where I say, like, maybe utilitarianism becomes a thing in my head, because then I'm like, okay, maybe killing a lion is better because we save all these a family, right, where it's more people. But then if a lion is killing a prey, like, it becomes very complicated very fast, because if a lion is wanting to feed their family and they have to just kill one gazelle and then they feed a family of 8, right? It's difficult to assess, and that's why sometimes I feel like in this whole situations maybe it's better to not intervene. Except maybe.
Can I ask you a couple of questions to see where exactly is it that we disagree on this?
Yeah, let's do this.
Because the way I see it, like veganism just follows logically from some things that we already share common ground in, like universal human rights.
Yeah.
And yeah, to me, like, obviously, I want to clarify if there was a way, like a non-lethal way around it, we could like end this issue. Sorry. You gonna say something? Yeah, if there was like a non-lethal way around it to like end this issue of predation and herbivorize predators or something like that, I would obviously choose the non-lethal way. But right now, there's no pragmatic way to save these innocent animals unless you're killing the predators. Like, I just want to, because I think if this whole thing, as vegans we should be consistent, because if we're not being consistent in the human versus animal context, I think we're being speciesist. So let me ask you this: you saw my conversation with AJ, right? I
Yes, yes.
posed this hypothetical, like I said, like let's hypothetically speaking, let's say that there was this predator roaming the earth, which was in a predator prey cycle with humans, and let's call it a chupacabra, and you were in a helicopter, you saw a chupacabra, and you were fairly certain that this chupacabra was gonna go around killing humans in the near future. You had no reason to believe it wasn't gonna kill humans. It's a young chupacabra or whatever. Would you shoot it?
Yeah, and that's where because in your question, I guess I have a problem with one of these things, so that I can answer correctly, is when you say that I know for sure, is it a
No, I didn't
certainty?
say for sure. I said we can be fairly certain, to the same degree that we're fairly certain that a young lion is gonna hunt to survive. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't kill chupacabra even if I knew it would attack a person, mainly because I don't like to make decisions like this based on my assumptions.
Okay, so
And
let me ask you this, because yeah, there's this element of uncertainty, like maybe the
exactly, there's the
chupacabra
uncertainty.
dies or whatever. But let's say you
Exactly,
saw the
yeah.
chupacabra directly running towards a family of innocent humans. Like you saw it, like literally the only way to prevent
Yeah,
this
clearly.
death, or this like eating this family alive, would be to shoot the chupacabra. There was a non-lethal way. There wasn't a non-lethal way around it. Would you pull the
Yeah,
trigger and kill the chupacabra there?
most likely, yes, yes.
So yeah, you would shoot it. Like, but
Most likely, I'm not sure if I could be capable of killing, but if I, let's say in this hypothetical that I am capable of killing a chupacabra and I would see them attacking a person or a family, as you said, then probably yes, yeah.
and I would too. So we have common ground there. Like if
Yeah,
I was in this situation where I could either stand around and do nothing and watch an innocent family get ripped apart in front of my eyes, or pull a trigger and save that family from the horrific situation of getting eaten alive, I would shoot the predator. But I just don't see like a very significant difference between watching that happen in front of my eyes and like knowing with a high amount of certainty that this chupacabra is gonna kill humans in the near future. I have no reason of assuming it's not gonna kill humans, so I would still shoot it to save the humans. Presumably, you wouldn't. You would like uh, be fairly confident that this chupacabra was gonna go around killing innocent humans. You would be comfortable like not doing anything about it and let it roam freely to kill humans in the near future.
yeah. You see, it becomes very fuzzy to me in that sense, right? Because and maybe this is just my own emotional bias in the whole picture of it, because I feel like if I see somebody, like it's the same with the the Hitler thing as well, or maybe not the Hitler, like a killer. There's a killer on the loose, and like a human being killer, and I see them on the street. First of all, I don't think I would be capable of killing an animal or a person unless there's a situation where they're attacking or I have to defend somebody, right? That's the only moment when I think I would be in some form or another capable. So maybe that already answers my question. But I think you're looking for the answer, which what do I think is moral more than anything, not what I am capable of per se, right? So
Exactly. What do you think is morally justified? Maybe you're not the one doing it, but would you see like let's say somebody else was flying around in the helicopter, and somebody else saw the chupacabra, and that person had no reason to believe this chupacabra was not gonna kill anybody in the near future, and they decided to shoot the chupacabra, and the reason was to save some humans. He didn't feel comfortable letting this chupacabra uh, roam the earth because he knew like in the near future he's going to kill humans, and they shot the chupacabra. Would you see that action, and would you say it's morally justified or a good thing to do, or would you say that's wrong?
well, this is such a, because I listened to your conversation before, I find it such a difficult because I understand the consequence of it. Like I um I understand that saying, because if I say it's morally wrong to kill the chupacabra, I still think it's morally wrong to kill the chupacabra. I'm sorry. I think any sort of killing, unless you absolutely have to,
Sure.
is wrong. And if
And I
you're in
think
a
I think
situation,
I think I agree with you. I think we share the view that yeah, there's something wrong about killing this like being that's not a moral agent. Obviously, it's an innocent being that's like a victim of its own genetic code or whatever.
exactly,
But
exactly, yeah.
like it would like the question is maybe you still see it as a bad thing, but would it be justified in the like because it would like prevent a further rights violations along the line.
But don't you think this is a false dichotomy? Because don't you think like us saying that the only way to protect ourselves against this predator is to kill this predator, or to not even kill the predator, but rather, because what you're suggesting is that we completely eradicate this whole species on the on the from the face of Earth, right? Like
No,
the
no, no.
chupacabra.
That's not my that's not my position.
But doesn't this mean that, because if you say that if we see a chupacabra, do we kill them just because we know they're probably going to attack people? Because the probably, I think like the probably in this case is what throws me off and kind of makes me think that it's a the false dichotomy where we only have these two options, where the chupacabra is either going to live and kill some people, or we kill them and we don't kill these people, right? Like I don't think like these are the only two options. That's my problem right there.
Well,
Like
it's they're the only two options pragmatically speaking right now. But obviously, I favor long-term solutions for these. Like I favor ending the issue of predation one way or another. Like hopefully, like with some technology that let's say we could separate these beings and give them
yeah,
like paradisal lives and feed the predators lab-grown meat and
exactly.
let's say there was a pragmatic way to do that and we had the technology to do it. I would rather obviously do that than kill anybody. But the
Yeah,
reality is we have no pragmatic way around it right now. There's like
but
either let them free to kill other beings or kill them.
but is that really the reality? Because if you think about it, the predator, like a lion, is clearly a predator also to humans, right? And bear is also a predator to humans. Like all of these animals, if they will see a human being, and a lot of cases they might attack a human being, right? They might actually, I think a lot of them are not that unfriendly to people. That, but let's just in that way. But like I believe that even in these cases, because as humans we clearly have created spaces that are safe for us, like cities, like all of this, and then create this, like we can always just create fences and make sure these animals never cross these fences. And if it were in a situation where it's
Yeah,
this
but
super animal,
they're gonna kill and rip each other apart. Maybe the humans are protected from the predation, but there's gonna be innocent gazelle, innocent buffalo, or whatever the victim, whatever victim we're talking about. Those animals are gonna be horribly eaten alive. And if I was that animal, I would rather somebody shoot my predator than let me be eaten alive. And like I see veganism as like an extension of that, like the golden rule. Like we already think like humans should have a right to idealize self-defense. Like if there was like an axe murderer running around like and he was about to kill my own friend Jigger right here, I would shoot that person to save Jigger.
100%,
and
yeah.
and I think we should extend that same moral consideration to animals, because I don't see any morally significant difference between Jigger or any other of these innocent prey animals.
But there is like so first of all, I agree with you that there's no difference that would justify killing one animal or the other, but there is a difference that would justify a difference in treatment if you think about it, right? Because um, as you said, Jigger is obviously more valuable to you, so you'd kill a human being to save Jigger,
No,
right?
sure,
But
sure, but
like if
even if we're
Jigger,
speaking about a random human being in the middle of another country, like I would still save that person from a predation event or something.
yeah, exactly. So but what if, like, because if you're in a like if you see a human being attacking an animal, like it's the same question, right? Like if you see a human being attacking an animal, would you kill the human being?
Yeah, so it would be morally justified in a vacuum to do that, but obviously there's pragmatic reasons to not do that. Like we're gonna be imprisoned if we do this. Like there's symmetry breakers in the human context. Like if we start like
Yeah,
shooting like slaughterhouse workers or carnists or something like that, we're gonna like there's a couple of symmetry breakers. One of them is we're gonna like like be imprisoned. Another one is like vegans are gonna be labeled terrorists and the movement's gonna fail most likely.
yeah,
So
of
we
course.
don't want that. We want to be free and defend the animals. And the other symmetry breakers is that like I think a vegan world is around the corner, man. I think we're gonna legislate against these people that are killing animals in the near future, like hunters or like carnists and stuff like that. So yeah, there's just like a couple of symmetry breakers in the human context. In the animal context, it's already legal in some places, and not only legal but socially acceptable to go out and hunt some animals.
But I think I want to ask you another question, but I think but I'll tell you what my point is
But
before I
wait,
want to ask
before
you
you ask
another
me the
question.
question, I want some clarity just to see if we disagree on
Yeah,
this whole thing completely, or if there's some common ground. Like, let's say you had two choices, like between two worlds, world A, world B. World A is a world that goes completely vegan, but the issue of predation continues perpetually for the rest of eternity. Animals are ripping each other apart, and we don't intervene at all. Or world V, we somehow another vegan world, but we somehow intervene and do something about this issue of predation, and it stops. And animals are freed from like being eaten alive. What world would you choose?
obviously world B, but
Okay, so we share that. We have common ground in that.
we,
We're just disagreeing about how to go about it and to create that world. But we already think that should be a goal that humanity has to end predation.
yeah, and in a sense, I have several issues with killing predators. I mean, there's ethical reasons. There's also the science reasons, right? Like when you start killing predators, you can destabilize ecosystems very easily, right? So I don't know if that's necessarily something we should be involving ourselves in because of that. And then how far do we go with all of this? Like, do we also go for bugs? Because, if we go for bugs, then do we kill frogs because frogs kill bugs? They eat bugs, or like I feel like it's fair to acknowledge that there is a scale of value that we value, right? Because we will always value humans a bit more than animals, I feel like, regardless, right? Like, let's say, because that's why I wanted to ask you next, right? Like, I want to establish that we all kind of have this scale in our head, because if you are in international water, if you yourself and you see a person attacking a shark, you would basically have what if you kill them, I don't know, in international waters, that there's no repercussion legally, um, and you would be saving or shark or a dolphin, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Because you said shark is a predator, so let's say they're killing a dolphin, would you?
Yeah, but it's unclear whether they're even order or odd order predators. It's complicated in marine biology, so I wouldn't know if
Yeah,
I'm doing
fair.
a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
And also,
because I
like the ecosystem, marine ecosystem are super complicated. So it is possible that the downstream ecological consequences are pretty bad. But yeah, you said something about the ecological consequences.
yeah,
Again, that's an empirical question. Like I would be against killing predators if it turned out to create like horrible ecological consequences downstream. But that would still, like, that would be a case against killing all predators. I would still be in favor of killing some predators in the meantime, or killing like at least odd order predators, or it being justified. Just like it would be in the human context. Let's say the chupacabra was doing a good thing by hunting down humans, because humans are the most overpopulated animal, right? Let's say
yeah.
scientists would tell you, yeah, it's a good thing that this chupacabra goes out and eats innocent children alive. Would you be comfortable letting it do that just because it has positive ecological consequences? I wouldn't be comfortable doing that.
No, 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 no. Obviously not. No, no. I mean, I think because even when you had this discussion with the turning veganese, I realized about myself that maybe I am a bit speciesist, right? Because I mean, I don't. Maybe it's in my DNA or something. I understand the logic of it, that we're all equal, we're all sentient, we all have the same moral value. But
Yeah,
if you
I
ask
wouldn't
me how
go
much,
that far. Like I wouldn't like. Maybe I'm misunderstanding you, but I wouldn't say we're literally all equal. Like I would like accept that there's like a hierarchy of value, or some
yeah,
something.
exactly.
I would
That's
rather I
exactly
would rather kill an ant than kill you, for example. Like if I had
100%.
to make
Yeah.
a choice.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I realized also from that discussion, right? And I don't know if that means I'm speciesist, but it just definitely means that if I were to choose between saving an animal and saving like if there's a burning building, right, a burning building thing, and I have to choose between saving an animal and saving a human being, unfortunately, I would save a human being. I realize that. It's a pity to say that. And obviously, like if I just were faced only with this choice in front of me, I would save the human being. So in a sense, I do value human beings more than animals, and doesn't mean I value animals that much less that I want
Is
to
that true?
exploit
Is
them.
that true in all cases? let's say it was between killing a vegan dog or like the most staunch anti-vegan or something like that,
It's true
who
in
would
all
you save?
cases. Yeah, it's
It's
true
true in
in
all
all
cases. You
cases.
would save
It's true.
the anti-vegan. Okay. Yeah.
I would
Okay.
say so. So first of all, anti-vegan. I have no. I believe that anti-vegans, all of these people who have different ideologies, I believe they're just misinformed people. I don't necessarily think they're malintentioned. I don't think they have bad intention in their at heart. I think they're just misinformed, frustrated, lacking critical thinking skills, and lacking emotional maturity enough to realize what they're doing or what they're advocating for. But
I think that might be true in some cases, but I'm pretty sure there's some people with horrible values out there that have already reflected on their values. They're aware. They're not ignorant about it, and they still choose to like kill animals, so, like for pleasure because they like the taste. And I've met some people that in the name the trade reductio, they even say they would be okay killing mentally disabled humans. So, like, what are you gonna do with people like that? That those like are people with fundamental value differences, and those people exist.
I love that you're challenging me because I want to be challenged on this. So I don't know if I was in a burning building situation and I were to choose between, let's say, a killer, which is definitely a bad person, right?
Mhm.
Between a killer and an animal, fuck me if I know. I have no clue what I would choose. Obviously, I would I would feel like if I know that that person is a bad person and they're gonna do bad, somehow in my head I will say, and let's put aside the fact that my instinct will do something different than what my brain will actually say, because in situations like that you often just react based on instinct. Um, I don't know. I would believe that the morally better way would be, because I don't believe in what do you call it? Fuck, the numbers thing, the utilitarianism. Sorry.
Mm.
So I don't believe in utilitarianism, but I do believe that everything eventually falls to utilitarianism. So right, I think the when I was discussing with my friends, I'm sort of an utilitarian with rules. That means I have rules before everything, and if all the rules fail, then yeah, I boil down to utilitarianism. So that means
Yeah, I don't think
which
we
one saves more
disagree.
lives.
Would you say that you're like a threshold deontologist or something, or you haven't figured out exactly what your normative ethic is?
Yeah, so sort of that. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so you like the most pressing, the most important thing to you is if, like preventing rights violation, following rules, but
Exactly.
utility also matters. So it's like a pluralistic system where like
Exactly. Yes.
yeah, like I share the same view.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, at some point it does like. I mean, I like to discuss this kind of stuff because it challenges my brain. The reality is they're unrelated to veganism that much. Like we can say whether this aligns with veganism or not, but the reality
What's
of it is that,
unrelated?
like, this whole predator thing, right? I think, like, yeah, we can discuss it. I believe that maybe it is related to veganism. That's not what I
Yeah,
necessarily want to say, but
I think it's related, and even if it's not related, it's related to something close to veganism, which is sentientism.
exactly.
But like, I think it is related to veganism, if depending how we define veganism. If we see veganism as a logical extension of the idea of human rights, I think it is related completely. We're talking about like a right to self defense, a right to idealize self defense for these animals. I see it as
but
related.
but in this sense, you can also say
Oh,
that
sorry, sorry, shit.
the
Yeah.
can you hear me,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
is
No,
everything
yeah. I activated Siri for some reason, but yeah, you can continue.
freaking Siri?
I'm
um
not
I
talking to
I
you, Siri.
yeah. In this sense, I also believe that the animals that are predators also have rights, right? So and
Likewise, yeah.
I don't believe that necessarily they're acting in bad intent when they want to eat an animal. So that's where I
Of
think it
course not.
becomes, yeah, and that's when I think it becomes a bit blurry and a bit muddy in this area. And I, I I I think that vegan, like, because I told you that I'm, in a sense, I'm utilitarian with rules. So I believe that for me, in my head, maybe it's not true, but in my head, the way I see veganism is it's one of the rules where we need to extend animal rights. But then obviously in this case, we extend rights to both animals, but somehow this is a scenario which kind of, I think, falls below veganism. It's a bit outside of veganism. It's a bit of a edge case scenario where
Yeah,
you kind
it
of have
really
to.
depends how you how do you personally define veganism? Do you take the vegan society definition, or what?
I would say, yeah, that's probably the way I define it. Yeah, I mean, in a
Yeah, so
sense
it's like
that,
a
in a sense,
negative rights things. It's like extending animals a right to life, not to be exploited. Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
yeah. Then it would fall outside that definition, but it's still related in the sense that it has to do with rights, but instead of negative rights, it has to do with like another kind of rights, which is positive rights, which is a right to intervene, to help them out, something like that.
But I because even in a human context, I don't know if I would kill a human to save another human, knowing that that human will probably kill, right? Like if there's a killer, I don't know if I would for sure kill that killer. I would try to stop them with all my power, but I mean, I don't know if it's the fact that I cannot possibly kill a human being or an animal that would stop me from killing them. But for sure, I mean, unless it's in self-defense or unless I'm defending somebody else actively right there, maybe I could do that or I would do that. And I don't know if this is moral thinking in my head or if it's just purely instinct, or I don't know. It's hard to say, right? Because I believe that morally you can justify both of them. That's why it's such a complicated question, right? Like morally you can say, yeah, well, but this animal doesn't know any better. They're doing what they're bred to do. And then morally you can also say, yeah, but this other animal is also doing what they want to do and they don't want to be killed because for food, right? So
Yeah.
so
But
it's
to be clear, because I'm still not like super clear where is it that we disagree, if there's like difference in values, or if you're just agnostic about it, like in the case of the chupacabra that was about to kill the innocent human family, you would shoot the chupacabra in that case.
yeah. If it's about defending the family, yes, I would kill them.
It
Yeah.
was right in front of your eyes, okay. But you
Yeah.
see a lion. It was about to kill a family of innocent gazelle. Would you shoot the lion?
It, same situation in all of these situations. If I could kill an animal, yes.
So yeah, it's the same situation, basically different
Yeah.
beings,
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
species.
Yeah.
You would shoot the lion there.
Yeah. But if you ask me if a lion is killing one gazelle or if a lion is killing one human being, I would intervene in the human being probably, but I don't know if I would intervene in the gazelle.
Oh, okay.
So
So if the chupacabra was about to kill just one human, you would kill it. But
most
if
likely, yes.
okay, but if the lion was about to kill one gazelle, you wouldn't kill it.
That's where I don't think I would. Yeah.
That's where I sense a little bit of speciesism, and what I would
Yeah.
ask you is to name the trait. Like, what's true of the animal that if it was true of the human would make you have that different that same attitude. Like, I don't see a difference,
Yeah.
man.
There is no difference, indeed. There is no difference. I think it's just the way. Actually there is a difference. Let me tell you what the difference is. We and that's why I brought up the scale, the value scale, right? If there's a value scale, then there's in this whole action, there where there's this individual A trying to attack individual B, right? And you're faced with a shotgun. Which one would you save? I would save the individual that has more value. That's kind of how I would put it, right? So if for me individual B has more value, then I would save the individual B. So it's a utilitarian view in this sense.
And
So a
how are
human
you cashing out value when you say has more value? What do you mean? Is this human being more sentient? Is this human being like a better person? Can like contribute to like can increase well being to a greater degree? Like, are those the sort of things that you're considering?
I would say more value means more sentience. Yes.
More sentience. Okay.
Yeah. So in a sense, where if you're capable, if you're more capable
You're a
of experience,
sentientist, like me.
I'm a sentientist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I am. Yeah. I don't know. It's I don't know all the definitions, but that kind of just is the one thing that makes sense in my head right now to explain it, right? So it's
Yeah, but the thing is, like, then are you saying that if we equalize the two cases, let's say the human had the same amount of value in the way you define value, has the same amount of sentience as the gazelle, you would let the chupacabra rip that human apart before your own eyes? You wouldn't do anything to stop it?
in a situation where
Mentally
that
stable human. Mentally stable.
yeah, fuck me, that's a difficult question.
That's a hard reductio, right?
Yeah, it's oh shit, that's a difficult question. I mean, Fuck, I don't know. I honestly, I
So you
am,
would be
I am.
agnostic. You would be agnostic about whether or not it would be a good thing to shoot the chupacabra to save a mentally disabled human from being eaten alive.
No, I mean, the thing is, we do have, because like let's just separate two things right here, and I'll answer them, right?
Sure.
Okay, are we talking about what I think is moral or what I would do? Because the
Why you
reality,
think it's
they're
moral?
two
Why
different
you think
things.
it's moral? Yeah, we're
Okay,
discussing
because
ethics here. Yeah.
what I would do is I would 100% save the human being. Let's just put it this way, right?
Okay.
I would 100% save them, and the reason for that, I believe that it's my biological instinct to save beings that kind of look more like me. I think it's also why I believe in why racism is a whole thing, because when people look slightly different than you, that you start to isolate them,
Yeah,
and
but
say
then
that.
we're gonna get like a carnage level reductio here. So let's say didn't look anything like you, but had a mind identical to a mentally disabled person that you would care about. Different body, complete different body. The chupacabra was about to rip it apart. Would you shoot the chupacabra, or would you be consistent and not shoot the chupacabra?
Probably I would not shoot the chupacabra in that case. No.
Okay. Yeah,
That
then
that, that
I would take that as a reductio to your view, because I see that as like being like species is maybe, or like having a shell morality. You're assigning value to a being just because how it looks instead of how that being is like intrinsically the level of
but
sentience.
let me say, so this is what I would do. It's not what I would consider moral, right?
Yeah, I
So
know.
okay, so this is what I would do, because I believe if I put myself in that situation, that's kind of how I would see it. Obviously, in that situation, I may do something else. I don't know. It's a weird situation, but what I consider moral in that situation is not intervene. Yes, and in a situation where a chupacabra is attacking even a person that looks like a human being, and they're equal in sentience to an animal, then yes, the moral thing, I believe, is to not intervene. Yes, and but there's also, of course, because there's also because at the end of it, you kind of want to reduce suffering, right? So there's also the question of, is this human being part of a family that would increase the level of suffering, right? Because losing a person you love is already increasingly more suffering for humans than it is for animals, I believe, because we have higher sentience. So in that sense, I believe it would still, like, if that human being was isolated, not with a family, not with anything, like
Yeah.
it's kind of like how I would think of an animal. Then,
Yeah.
well, animals do have families, but I mean, like, it's kind of how I would see them, as they don't necessarily bring a lot of suffering to anybody else, but rather just like a temporary suffering and then move on, not the whole life of suffering. Then yeah, maybe I would just not intervene in not, I would think it's not moral to intervene.
Yeah, that's a consistent position. I just think it's a little insane. Like if there was like a trade equalized human that uh the killing of this human would provide the same level of extrinsic suffering as a herbivore. Like no family members are gonna suffer. It's in the
Yeah,
middle of nowhere. Like I would think it's a good thing to save that human. Like in the same way, I would think it's a good thing to save the gazelle. So I think that we just might reach a fundamental value difference here. But you have a consistent position. I just think it
yeah.
would be a good thing to intervene. In both cases, you don't think it's a good thing to intervene. And
I
yeah,
believe that intent will matter in all of it, right? So, uh, and with all of these examples, we placed an animal that doesn't have bad intent, so that's attacking, right? So an animal, or even a human being that doesn't know any better and it's attacking, right? All of this to me just says there's no bad intent there of that person committing that action, right? So I wouldn't say the action is in itself immoral, because that person wasn't committing the action, right? So then myself introducing myself in that whole system and trying to kill the person who, or the individual who's doing this action, and is not necessarily doing something immoral by their own logic or whatever, that I consider that to be immoral, if you ask me, because again, I'm intervening. If the value is the same, again, I'm intervening, and I'm choosing, I'm making the decision, so I'm the one making the immoral action. I believe my action of killing that 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 predator would be immoral, because that predator doesn't do any moral action. They're just trying to survive, and the prey isn't. You see what I mean? Like, all of this, by the way, doesn't necessarily mean, again, repeating, that's what I would do, but it's what I think is moral or immoral.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but I disagree. I think uh, even if the being in question is not a moral agent, it's still violating the right to life of another being. So I think it's a good thing to protect that innocent being's right to life, even if both beings are sentient, are sorry, are innocent. One of
Yeah,
them is violating the right of life of the other, and I think it's a
but
good thing to intervene. Like even like you would even have that same attitude in like let's say there were two intellectually disabled humans in the middle of nowhere in the forest. One was about to hack into pieces the other one. Both of them were non-moral agents. They in their mind they were doing a good thing. You would see that situation of a mentally disabled human being hack another one into pieces, and you wouldn't intervene because you don't want to like impose your values into a non-moral agent or something.
let's just put it straight. I would intervene. I would intervene in a lot of these situations. But what I'm
Oh, okay,
trying to
yeah, yeah,
say
yeah,
is
exactly,
the
exactly.
moral
You,
thing.
sorry, sorry,
I
sorry,
want to
sorry.
I
That,
want to
sorry.
clarify
You,
that
you
because
would,
it's
you
too.
would intervene, but you wouldn't see it as ethical.
I wouldn't see it as ethical. No, I believe that me intervening wouldn't be the ethical thing. It would be an emotional thing for me to see, right? Because a person is being attacked and then I'm emotionally reacting to it. I'm like, I don't want this person to be attacked, right? So then I would stop the attack itself. But uh, if you think about it ethically, it's A versus B. And in the case of the lion, let's say killing a gazelle, right? Lion killing a gazelle is, mm, if the lion would die, if they don't eat the gazelle, you're still choosing between two deaths, right? You're still like, you would say, you see what I
Not
mean?
really,
Like
because
why?
that one lion is not gonna kill just one gazelle. If it kills just one gazelle, it's gonna survive for a little longer. In reality, it's gonna kill countless gazelles. Who knows how many?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, that's yeah, but
Yes,
then
it's in the purpose of shooting the other predator would be to prevent a greater number of rights violation. You could still call it a rights violation to kill the non-agential innocent lion, but you're gonna do it in the interest of protecting a greater number of rights violations of many innocent animals being eaten alive.
yeah, I believe that in these situations it's because it can become very murky when we start discussing the future, right? So if you're in that situation and you see that particular situation, you can justify whether something is moral or immoral. But then if you start questioning the future of it, I believe it's becoming really murky. And then you kind of have to become a hardcore utilitarian to say that, as you said, right, a lion will kill more beings. So therefore, killing a lion is justified. And that's kind of a utilitarian view, right?
No, no, I wouldn't say it's a utilitarian view. Obviously like what I'm doing it for the to prevent rights violation. So it's a deontology thing. I think beings have the right to self defense to protect their lives. So it is a right. It is a rights based thing. That what I'm considering. It's not a utility thing. It's not about preventing suffering. Although that does matter in my system, but the important thing is to like like protect the right to life of these innocent animals. So it's not a utilitarian thing.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean. It's I believe in the situation where you heard there, we kind of agree. We're kind of on the same view, maybe slightly here and there. We slightly disagree on that one. But with the situation when you say that, I do understand your point of view that you choose to kill the lion because you think that the lion will kill more. And I choose to not intervene because I believe it's a situation where nobody has done something moral or immoral. Um, Again, all of this is the which one is moral, which one is immoral. So I don't know. I'm sure there is also. I'm trying to think of a hypothetical in my head where to extrapolate your lion thing, but all that comes to mind is like people. Let's say okay, let me extrapolate this now, right? Well, where you said like, would you kill a person who you know is not ever going to be vegan? Ever, a person who is, you know, they're going to kill millions of animals, like during, no, millions, okay, I'm sorry, thousands of animals during their lifetime, maybe hundreds of thousands. And
Yeah.
not
So
would you, let me rephrase it, would you think it's moral to do that?
yeah. So that's gonna as I told you before, that there's gonna be symmetry breakers in the human context. So I wouldn't think it's moral because somebody doing that, like let's say a vegan was doing that, like it's gonna put a bad name to vegan. It's gonna be labeled a terrorist. They're gonna land in prison and not be able to do further activism. Uh, and we're gonna probably legislate against that person in the near future. So we're gonna force them to be vegan. So those symmetry breakers, I think, are enough to make it an immoral action. But would it be ethical in a vacuum? Let's say the consequences
Yeah,
were
in a
good.
vacuum.
Like,
Yeah,
let's say like nobody ever found out, and you just saved
exactly.
thousands of animals. Like you're talking about saving the lives of thousands of innocent animals. Yeah, obviously it would be a good thing. But
Yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't
yeah. It's
advocate
not
for
something you would
vegans
do.
to shoot. I wouldn't advocate for vegans to shoot humans. Like, hell
No, no,
no.
no, 100%. No, I think we're on the same page on that one. I think it's just about discussing which one would, because the reality is, it's not the morality. Like we all try to do the best. That's more the most moral thing. But in extremely in edge case situations, right? Like let me ask you, if you're on a deserted island with an animal, right? The whole deserted island question, right? You were on a deserted island with two animals, and you're about to starve. Uh, would you kill an animal or would you let yourself die?
Yeah, like I get that question asked all the time. I don't see it as morally justified to kill an innocent animal for my own benefit. I would choose to starve. That would be the ethic. Like again, this is gonna be a distinction
Yeah,
between
yeah,
what the ethical thing is. What would I actually do in a situation where I'm starving,
yeah.
going insane? Like I'm like a whole different state of consciousness. Who knows what I would do? But it would
100%.
be
It's about
it
what the
would be
ethical is.
unethical.
Yeah,
It would be an
yeah,
unethical thing to just murder an innocent animal, in my view.
yeah. Obviously, I mean, it's obviously the whole thing about it is, it's because I also don't know, like when I get asked this deserted island question, I also don't know what to say. And like, if I could kill an animal, maybe, but I don't think I could kill an animal. So I don't know.
So
Like
you would say that it would maybe be a good thing
I
to just
don't.
stab an innocent herbivore to death for your own benefit?
Ethically speaking, no. I don't think morally or ethically speaking it would be
Okay.
like, ethically speaking, I think I should die. The reality is I don't think I would do that. That's the thing. I don't think I would be ethical in those situations.
Okay, so you agree it wouldn't be ethical, and
Yeah.
and, and presumably if you were in an island alone with a mentally disabled human, presumably you wouldn't stab it to death because of the looks like you kind of thing, right?
That's kind of how I justify it in my head, right? I don't know if it's just society ingrained that humans value more, or like a human supremacy thing that I've been born with, and it just remained lingered in my
Yeah, who
head or
knows?
something.
Yeah, who knows? It
Yeah, who
might be
knows
a
why?
genetic thing, might be a social thing. Who knows? Yeah.
I don't know exactly why I would do what I would do, but I can judge the morality of it, and I can say, morally speaking,
Yeah.
if they're both equal in value, like equal sentience and all that, I would think not intervening is the moral thing to do, like as an external agent.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think that we mostly agree, and you already are in the camp that at least in some situations it would be ethical to shoot predators to save prey animals. Like in the case where it was about to happen in front of your own eyes, that a lion was gonna kill a whole family of gazelle, you would see it as morally justified to kill it, to
Yeah,
kill the
yeah, yeah.
being.
I think
So
so.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so you already are in the camp of it is sometimes morally justified to kill other predators. Maybe a lot of vegans are gonna be at odds with you there, not because it doesn't extend logically from their values, just because they're like maybe they're ideological about it, and they don't like, you just have, they don't want to reflect on this. They don't want to reflect on how animals are not different enough from us not to deserve a right to self-defense. But you already are on the camp of it. It's okay sometimes. So welcome to the dark side of calling other predators.
The reality is, the reality is that because I think, like, just to curb this whole veganism thing debate, and to not have people like coming down on us and saying, hey, listen, you're not vegan, whatever, all this stuff, which it can rile up people up. I don't know about you. I don't know if I would intervene. I'm just strictly talking about the morality of it, right?
Sure.
Because again, in this whole situation, I don't think I'd be capable of killing an animal to begin with. So I would feel bad about it.
Yeah,
I would
we
know it's
agree on
probably,
the ethics. We agree on the ethics.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we
It's
could
the
always
ethics
say,
of it.
we could always throw that into the hypothetical and say like it is a good thing to save a drowning child from a pond, but
Yeah.
maybe I'm in shock and I can't do anything or something like. But the ethical thing would be to get your shoes wet and save the child. Like we agree on the ethics
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you
At
guys
least in
Exactly.
hear me,
some
by the way?
situations. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
you.
We can. We can hear.
I've been trying to, like, when I have my earphones, I guess I was not being able to be heard. I don't know why.
Oh, we can hear you
I
very
mean,
nicely now. Yeah.
now I took them off. Let me see if
But
you can
then,
hear me.
but then the question is also like, ethically speaking, would it be ethical to save? Because I saw Carrie saying something about. She says that. Oh, I see it here
Can
now.
you
I saw
still
it. I
hear
saw.
me?
Yeah, yeah, we
I'm
can hear you. We
listening.
can
I'm
hear
gonna go look for more water, but I'm listening.
you. Okay, okay. I see Carrie saying that she would
Can
rescue
Can you still
beetles,
hear
and
me or
sometimes.
not?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, okay.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. So I was talking
Okay.
like earlier. I was trying to ask if you could hear me, but you couldn't. Now you can, I guess.
Yeah. Now we can. Yeah. Yeah. So Carrie was saying that she
So
would rescue beetles, and sometimes rescue them from daddy longlegs, which is, I guess, the spider, and
oh yeah,
she says that the daddy longlegs will get a different bug while I'm not there, right? And
yeah.
again, it's this whole thing, not what would you do, because what would you do is something totally different, right? We're also
Mm.
kind of emotional and all of that. But the question is, do you think it's ethical to intervene and to not let a fly go into a spider's web just to because a spider is theoretically a predator in that case?
Mhm.
Would I
Yeah,
think
like
it's okay to? Of course.
Yeah. So would you let the spiders? Would you kill a spider to save any flies that would otherwise go into their spider's web?
Yeah, so it would be a question of whether the spider is odd order or even order. So I'm agnostic, but assuming it is an odd order predator, I would kill it to save the whatever innocent
yeah.
uh,
But so here's a
insect.
question: when you're assuming, I don't know, like imagine, I don't know if we're like trying to imagine you make a mistake and you kill someone that was not odd order that we shouldn't have killed, or
Yeah, it would
I
be
don't know,
a
Yeah.
like
wrong thing. That's
assuming,
like I'm in
like
favor
in
of
the sense
killing.
of assuming.
Yeah, I'm
Because
in favor of killing
imagine you
predators.
imagine no, but
It's
imagine
it's
you
the lag
assume
thing.
a
The lag.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, but we were like talking here and like, but imagine assuming that a human is a murderer and you killed them and that was an innocent, like, or the in the case of odd orders or not odd orders, I don't know how that, like, is it good to assume this is an animal that we should kill, like the odd order one, or I don't
Yeah.
know.
To
Like,
assume. To
imagine we
assume.
do the wrong thing by
I
assuming.
understand your question.
I
So
don't
to
know.
assume,
Yeah, yeah.
it would probably be a bad thing to just assume it. But
Exactly.
Exactly,
I
it is
exactly.
it is
completely
So,
an
agree with
so
that.
in this
Yeah.
case, would it be
it is
better to
empirical
not do it?
it is an empirical question, and in some cases it is clear who's an even order or odd order predator. In the cases where it is clear, it is not a bad thing. But if you're
Yeah.
just assuming and you're like killing
Yeah.
like tuna fish because you think they're odd order, I think that's completely a bad thing, because they might turn out to not be odd order, and it might be a bad thing to kill them. So that's why I don't advocate for intervening in like complicated marine ecosystems for the most part, because you never know.
And I
Yeah.
had a question here
No.
from Lodovike, who's by the way the friend that I've been talking to, and he's a very very smart person. Also, I always have these high philosophical questions with him, and he said, "So we ought to go into nature and stop carnivores now." And I just want to make it clear that we are not advocating that we do this, and I think Heri and Jigger are also on the same page as I am. That we're not saying we should do this; we're just discussing whether morally it's what is the moral thing to do in these situations. Doesn't mean we will get to do this or we will, like, again, I think like to some extent we should put morality first, but in situations like these edge cases, if you ask me, and maybe Ari, you can clarify, and so can you, Jigger, on this one. Like, I believe in these edge cases, morality, we can discuss it, but in these edge cases, the decisions that we make may not be the moral ones, strictly because there are these edge cases. So
Sure, like in the moral gray areas, like it's unclear what's the good thing, but I think there's some clear cases of like odd order predation, which is good. Like I don't really understand the question. Like I don't know if he's asking it by odd. I don't know if he means it's a moral obligation to go and do it. Like I don't take the
I
view it's
think
a
so.
moral
Yeah.
obligation. I think it's a good thing or a morally justified thing to like for example, like the question I asked you earlier, if we had a choice between allowing predation to continue eternally or somehow intervening and ending predation in the distant future, like herbivorizing and veganizing the whole planet, that would obviously be
Yeah,
a good thing. So that answers the question that yes, like long term, obviously the most pressing thing right now is to persuade humanity to go vegan. But yes,
yeah,
like
that's
we
Yeah.
should in the meantime we should think about one
and
of the most horrible sources of rights violation and suffering in the entire planet, which is predation. Of course, we should think about that.
yeah, and can I say something quick?
Yeah, more. I don't think it's a moral obligation. If that's the question, uh, like
Same.
I don't take a view on that, but I think it's morally justified or morally good.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking. It's not a moral obligation. That's a very well put. Yeah, go
Yeah,
on.
so
Go on. Go on.
I want to say, like, because there's some people that are asking, oh, you're trying to get me to be vegan, but lions eat animals, so try telling a lion to go vegan. Like, maybe we cannot do that now, but if we could, maybe we should. Maybe the lions, if there's a way for lions to survive without eating animals, maybe whether it's because I'm not sure really all animals really require muscles to live, like, or do all animals
They need the
require
nutrients. They
nutrients,
need the nutrients.
protein,
Yeah.
calcium, all that? Is that
Digestible nutrients.
animal agriculture propaganda that even like tries to make people believe that even lions are like obligate carnivores? Is that a lie? Or like, if we try to feed them like high protein, high nutrient dense, they will still die because it's not from a muscle of an animal. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not
man.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Like,
No,
maybe that could be a lie. That might be a lie. And if
Yeah,
there's a
I
way
think
to feed
what's
lions and carnivore
exactly. Yeah,
animals,
so what
yeah,
biologists mean typically by what I think biologists mean by obligate carnivores, like what
lab grown gazelle, yeah.
they can only digest like animal products out in the wild. But if we find a way to like create like formulated cat food for lions or lab grown gazelle, like this guy's mentioning, that would be the obviously. I don't see a contradiction there. Like I don't see why it wouldn't be possible to veganize lions.
yeah, and I also believe that like I think we reached a natural conclusion to this whole predators thing. I don't think we need to discuss it too much. It's an edge case. It's I don't know. I feel like with veganism, like amongst us, just to be clear, if there's any non-vegans out there who will watch this or are
Yeah.
watching right now, who knows? Just be clear. We're talking hypotheticals here, but not real life scenarios or that even apply to real life hypotheticals, right? We're just testing moral situations, what not necessarily again what we would do in those situations, but rather what we would consider moral or immoral, right? The reality is that veganism, you can try and think of these edge cases, but you can't use these edge cases to justify your actions. I can't justify killing lions, like if I like in this situation where I think let's say I would think it's moral to kill a lion to save a gazelle. Let's just assume that I would think that. I can't justify killing lions right now and eating their flesh just because I think it's a moral action to do that in a particular edge case scenario, right? And I think this is where we all agree on this one, right?
No, I think it's a good thing to go out and intervene right now.
You
In
think it's a
cases
good thing
where
to go?
sure, in cases where it's clear that the predator's out of order and there's like enough uh like there's no reason to assume the ecological externalities are gonna be horrific or something. I think it's a good thing. Of course, like if I was that innocent gazelle about to be eaten alive, I would prefer somebody kills the lion. So I think it's a good thing to go out and kill lions right now. Obviously, like I think like ending animal agriculture is the most pressing issue right now. But I think spreading these memes about herbivorizing nature or ending predation, I think is extremely important to talk about. Like if we had a choice between keeping silent and never discussing these issues and letting prey animals horrifically get a rip apart for all eternity, or talking about it and spreading these memes and somewhere along the line doing something about it. Obviously, the right thing is to spread the memes, uh, and yeah, like I think it would be justified to kill all other predators. Yeah.
I feel like for me, my position is I kind of agree with Carrie. If I see it, I maybe intervene, but in principle, I would also stay out of it. And the reason for
Hey, so
this is because
Carrie agrees with me in those in the Carrie hates me. She stormed off out of my channel, like, but it seems like we agree.
in some form of another, in some form or another, you know, I believe uh, like so when if you're in that situation and that situation is in front of you, I think most of us kind of agree, or we're very close to our views, close enough that we don't have to get upset with one another. Let's just put it this way. But
I think you personally, Cyprian, I think you have an unconventional view when you would like not shoot the chupacabra that's running around, that you knew fairly certain, like if with a high degree of certainty was gonna kill humans. I think most people would shoot the chupacabra. I think you have an unconventional view there.
but the reason why I have this view is because you see, if you're in that situation, you can intervene or don't not intervene, and we've already discussed this. But if you say, let's go out in the wild and do this, I do not agree with that. And the reason why I don't agree with that, or like if I see a chupacabra, as you said, walking alone and me killing them because that would potentially save other human beings, I would disagree.
Not only
I would disagree.
potentially, not only potentially, but like pretty likely. Like we
Pretty
are
likely, yeah,
very
yeah,
likely, like,
it's
extremely likely.
extremely likely, yes. Well, again, the situation is if I would find it moral, because again, I wouldn't be able to shoot that animal. But like, if I would find it moral to do so,
Yeah, that's the question.
that's no, I don't believe it is, because I don't think so I don't think morality should be judged as a I don't know, as a potential action. I think when we start judging potential actions, it can become extremely murky and it can become extremely difficult. So I believe that morality should be judged in situations where we're 100% sure that this is A or B. Otherwise, we create a false equivalence where we say, or false dichotomy, sorry, right? I think it's the same. I don't know. Where we say the only solution is to kill this animal, but maybe another solution would be to, and I don't know, capture them. I mean, like, if you ask me what I
Yeah, to be
would do
clear,
in your
that's not my position. To be
yeah.
clear, I think the only pragmatic solution right now, because who's gonna like separate these animals and feed them lab grown meat, like unless somebody wants to start doing that. But I'm saying the only pragmatic like way to solve it right now. But in the long term, I'm all for thinking about strategies to herbivorize nature without killing anybody.
Yeah, and maybe a form of isolating animals from one another, right? Like
Yes.
isolating predators and giving them meat is a good form, right? But up until right now, because what you said in your statement was that I would go right now and do this. I wouldn't do this right now because there's so many
Not personally, because
unknown.
I don't, unless like there's predators in my apartment or something. But like I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah,
there's
yeah.
predators in Puerto Rico. Like
No, but like, let's say if you had the opportunity to you were president of a country, you were an authoritarian, you have this totalitarian, you
Mhm,
have this whole army at your dispense, and you had these
mhm.
predator animals. Would you go and kill these animals?
Oh yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
And that's where we disagree, right? Because
And
I believe that it's not.
I think that's what the prey animals would prefer us to do, to spare their like spare them from being horrifically eaten alive. And that's what I have in mind. I have the victims in mind first.
And the I mean, in a sense, I agree with you, but I believe that they're not victims until they're victims. That's my point, right? So I believe when we give them a label that they will be victims, I believe that's where we make a mistake, sort of, right? So
We don't see anything, my friend.
stop eating animals. I can't read the rest. Stop. It's blurry though. It's not the size that.
Read it, bro.
Stop eating animals. Ah, sorry. It just says I was signing in sign language. Stop eating animals. ASL. So this is stop eating animals.
And that we
That's a
agree,
good
man.
one.
Stop
Yeah.
holocausting animals.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that one.
And then Holocaust would be like animal Holocaust. ANIMAL. That's animal. And then HOLOCAUST. Animal Holocaust. Yeah, I took
Yeah, but
two basic ASL courses
yeah, but
back in
obviously,
2019.
like Cyprian, I obviously it's gonna be an empirical question, but I think most people would disagree with you in calling it unethical to shoot like a natural predator of humans that's running around like the chupacabra.
I mean, I'm sure. I believe. I mean, because you know, like when I think about killing all the predators, I have so many issues with that. Not just ethical issues of killing the predators themselves, but ethical issues of, as I said, destabilizing
Yeah,
an
yeah.
ecosystem,
By the way,
which we as
sure.
humans don't really understand well enough. If
Yeah,
what's
sure.
going to happen, right?
Yeah, sure. So that's why I'm not like in favor of wiping out all predators like all at once or anything. I'm in favor of killing some, at least odd order predators. In the meantime, until we get the technology to end predation somehow. But yeah, I don't think we disagree there.
But then, see, you are not the one who is being morally consistent, right? Because how would you choose which predators you kill then, and why would you choose some and not the others, right? Like what will get you? Because you said you will only kill some of them, right? But then that's not consistent, because then the other remaining may still kill the prey, right? So why would kill some of them and not all of them?
Yeah, by some of them I mean like cases where it's clear as an odd order predator that eats herbivores. And like for example, not wipe out the entire species unless there's uh some reason to believe it's not gonna cause ecological negative ecological externalities downstream. So yeah, it would be to kill other order. Obviously, I'm not gonna be in favor of killing even other predators right now because they kill predators. So they're doing the job for me of killing predators. By killing the predator, I'm maximizing rights violations. I'm causing more herbivores to be eaten alive by killing the even other predators. Yeah.
But even because the even other predators, it makes sense in a let's say in a vacuum, but in a complex ecosystem, it might be that, for example, you kill one predator, like you completely wipe them out so that their prey can reproduce, then that prey reproduces, and because they continue to reproduce, because that's sort of what happens sometimes in ecosystems, right, where the animal continues to reproduce, then maybe another species suffers because of that. It has nothing to do with them necessarily preying for another, but rather both species fighting for the same resource, not necessarily that they both eat each other, right? Because then how would you justify that? Like, if those two species fight for the same resource, would you kill one of the species to save another? Like, you see what I mean? Like,
Wait, what
that's when it
species?
becomes,
What species are you asking me in this
like, let's say
hypothetical?
lions and gazelle, right? Let's say there's lions. Would you kill the lions to save the gazelles? But then you found out that gazelles, I honestly don't have enough knowledge about zoology or animals, but let's say there's another animal who eats the same things that gazelles eat, right? But then if you kill all the lions, who will not keep the gazelles in place, gazelles will multiply, and then they will multiply so much that it will consume all the resources that the other species will eat, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's always possible. There's like unaccounted ecological externalities that are beyond we never considered it or something like that. But I'm just trying to be consistent and like in the human context, like where like the thing is, there's no reason to believe those externalities that you're talking about are going to happen. Like there's no reason to believe that, like even in the human context, like I wouldn't like if there was like some uncertainty about the externalities. Maybe if I shoot the chupacabras, more humans reproduce, and then like another species suffers because of it. Like I would still like I wouldn't be comfortable letting the chupacabra be part of human. I would still
But
kill it.
you're already introducing externalities into this whole system, because in your whole morality, because you said one odd out, one like only the odd animals, right? Or only the even animals, like as you said, right? So that means you're already introducing a rule of externality, because you say, well, this kills the other, but then what if, because in an ecosystem, it's like people say it's a food chain, but it's not direct, it's a food web, right? Where this eats this goes this, these people share resources with that, right? So it's anyway impossible to say which one is the odd one out, right? So you would anyway at some point have to make some form of a calculation, like which, because the goal, and I understand your goal in mind, is that no animal attacks another animal, right? That's the goal in mind. But you, in order to achieve that, you would still have to make these calculations and do these externalities. So by that sense, I would not approach this, and ever myself, I would never go, because I don't think it's, I think it's impossible for us to have these calculations right now. And I would never advocate for that. If at some point we have a advanced enough computer that would calculate that we would be saving more lives by killing this, it's a different scenario, but I still don't know if I would go there. But like, let's just put it today, because that's why I asked you today. Would you go today if you were in this situation where you had? Would you go and kill all the odd predators, as you said it, right? In a
And by would
ecosystem.
you do it? Are you asking me if I have a positive attitude towards it? If I think if it's a
Yeah,
good
yeah. Would
thing
you
to
think
do
it's
it, a
moral?
justified
Not
thing?
would.
Yes, I think it's
Yeah, yeah,
moral. Yeah,
yeah. You think
and,
it's
and
moral?
the thing is, obviously, we can always dream out like negative ecological externalities or something like that. That there's always gonna be like a certain element of agnosticism of like what's gonna happen downstream. But like, I'm just advocating for us to be consistent about it, not like to not be speciesist, like to do the same thing we would do in a human context. Like if you would feel uncomfortable letting a chupacabra around killing humans, you would shoot it. I just don't see any difference between the chupacabra killing the human or a lion killing the gazelle. I'm just advocating for us to be consistent and give humans and animals like equal application of rights to like protect their right to life to the same degree.
Yeah, yeah. I understand that. I completely understand that. I guess the only issue I find with all of this is that it's an overly simplistic view of the way we can accomplish what we both want. And I agree that we both, and I think all vegans will ask, because I think this is where we all agree, is that we all want no animals to die needlessly as food, regardless if they're prey to us or prey to any other animal, right? And the question becomes, should we intervene in all of this and make it in a certain sense, right? And I believe that this is completely opposite to what we as humans do, because we as humans are out of the ecosystems, right? We're creating animals, we're eating them, all of this. We created systems that are completely outside of ecosystems. But within ecosystems, um, I don't know how to achieve this. And your solution is to kill the odd predators out, but I don't necessarily think that that will accomplish that task. That is my point, right? So in this
And
point,
an empirical question that we just don't know. So in the mean,
exactly.
like you because you say it's a simplistic solution. I disagree. I think like I've been thinking about these positions for a long time, since like Dr. Avi first proposed it. Like he was chatting about it with Vegan Gains. He convinced Vegan Gains about the view. He convinced me when I watched that conversation, and I've thought about it for a long time. Like and it was unintuitive to me at first. Like at first, I was also trying to defend the Lions in my head, but I
Yeah.
haven't been able to find a stable and consistent position that wouldn't entail like very horrific like reductives for me. Like your view, for example, that you would be okay with like letting like a machete wielding mentally disabled person hack another mentally disabled person into pieces, and you would say it's immoral to intervene. Like those are the sorts of the sorts of reductives that are entailed by your view. Like I'm not comfortable with that. Like Like obviously I'm open about it. Like I'm open to finding to dropping this view if I find a more stable, more consistent position with a less amount of reductios. I'm not dogmatic about it. I'm happy to change my mind. I'm just haven't been able to find a more stable view, and I
What
don't
is a
find it.
reductio? I'm sorry, I don't know what a
Yeah,
reductio is. You
yeah.
mentioned that before,
A
but
reductio is just a proposition that if denied creates a contradiction.
if denied, it creates a contradiction. I see what you mean. But does it create a contradiction? Because I don't think there's any contradiction in what I said, right? I believe that we can only judge morality based on actions. First of all, I don't believe systems can be moral or immoral. So I think when we start discussing systems of whether a system is moral or immoral, we get into utilitarianism. That's all it is, right? So when we discuss an action, whether an action is moral or immoral, and in the situation that you just posed right now, whether a mentally disabled person is attacking another mentally disabled person, right? And the point of all of this is that they're both equal in sentience, and they're both equal in sentience to animals. For some reason, we created the scenario. And would I intervene in that situation? Yes, I would. Would that be the moral thing to do? I don't think it would be the moral thing to do. That's my point. And yeah, I know I'm obviously a moral agent, and sometimes I will be immoral and I behave differently. But I would think I behave differently because of instinct more than anything. Like it would be my instinct to try to protect that person. But then logically, because if we think about morals and logic, I believe that logically thinking, in this situation where you have a person that's the same sentience level as killing the other person, I'm not sure if it's at actually like, because you don't know what the situation is, right? Like let me just pose in this situation, you don't know that the other person wasn't attacking that person before that, and they somehow got the upper hand. You see what I mean? Like maybe the person, like when you get into that situation, maybe the person that you see as attacking is actually the person that's defending themselves. So you don't know what the intent is in that situation. So you intervening in that situation may actually be immoral, the way I see it.
Wait. But by the way, to be clear on what I mean by a contradiction, in formal logic, contradiction just means like a proposition in conjunction with its negation. So saying something like it is raining and it is not raining, the contradiction that would be entailed by your view if you denied the proposition, you would like, when I asked you like what's the morally significant difference that justifies like saving a human, like what makes it ethical to save the human and not the animal, you said like the degree of sentience or the degree of moral agency. If I were to ask you, then would it be ethical to save the machete wielding mentally disabled person to save the other? You said no, and you were consistent about it. But if you were to say yes, then that would create a contradiction. You would say that the morally significant difference is sentience, but it is not sentient. And in the case of AJ, like he said the trait is species. So he said like it would be ethical to let the chupacabra rip apart a Neanderthal family, or you could use schmumans, like ask yourself, call it like a set of beings that were equal to you except in species. You couldn't interbreed with them. They were equal to you in any way. He would be against saving them, and that's consistent. But if he were to say no, that would create a contradiction. He would say the distinction is species and it is not species. But so he is consistent, and you are consistent as well. I just think you're biting bullets. You're saying something that most people upon hearing that are gonna think is a little insane. But that's an empirical question. That's my take on it.
So I mean, there's obviously some factor towards that, right? But I don't like, again, because that's why I always prefix with I don't know if I would do that. I don't know if I would do it. That's my way of saying that I'm not necessarily influenced by how others see me, right? Because that I am a bit influenced by how others see me, right? I don't know if that's what I would do. That's when I prefix it with this, it's me explaining that yes, I do care about how others see me in a sense, and I do not necessarily my own actions will obviously be judged in the moment. I will do the judgment right then and there and think, I don't know, make a decision right then and there, right? But if we're talking about external, like we're in this scenario where, because I think maybe it's better that we don't put ourselves in the third person that's in this situation, but rather there's somebody else in the third person, and we're just observations. We're observing the whole situation, and we ask, is it moral for the third person to intervene in the situation, right? Because that's where we're discussing, right? And
Yeah, and for example,
I
you said that it wouldn't be moral for a
I
person
don't think it would
to
be moral.
kill
Yeah.
a mentally disabled person wielding an axe to kill another. I think that's a I think that's a bullet bite. I think it's obviously ethical to prevent this thing from happening.
But you don't know, if you don't know what the situation was before that, right? Then you are also not like, then it's a reductio for you, right? If you think about it, because you would always wanna, because that's the thing, right? Where we discuss about morals, we always want to save the person that doesn't have bad intent. Intent matters in all of the situation, right? But if you're presented, you're the third person, you become the, not the third person, you become you become observing this whole situation only when the point that somebody is maybe defending themselves, but you see them, when you see the situation, it
Yeah,
may
yeah,
look to
yeah,
you that
sure,
they're
sure. I
attacking.
agree with that. I agree with that. But that would be like adding extra baggage to the hypothetical. In the hypothetical, it was like a
Yeah.
clear cut case where somebody was violating somebody else's right. But of course, in reality, it's a little more muddy. There's gray areas and shit, and we agree on that.
Yeah. I think that's the whole thing about it. And in a clear case situation, yeah, I think that's where we disagree. In a clear case situation, right, where you say that they're attacking, I believe that, again, like, bad intent will matter also in that situation. If that person doesn't have bad intent, that, I don't know, it's like, I recently heard this podcast about free will, and there's this person, this doctor, who keeps saying there's no such thing as free will, because our brains are just uh they're deterministic in a sense, because the way they work, there's nothing, right? The
I'm
information that we
agnostic
get.
about it, but I lean towards that. I don't think there's free will.
So if there is no free will, then that means there is no bad intent. So then we have to ask ourselves.
No,
Oh,
no,
I'm sorry, my camera just.
it really depends on how you define bad. If by bad you just mean it has negative consequences or it creates rights violations, then it would be bad, regardless of whether like free will exists or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think we discussed it a lot, and I think we're now kind of end up going a bit in circles. So if you're okay with it, I would rather we move on from this topic.
Sure, man. Sure. Like it's up. This is your
Uh,
stream. Like I'm happy to talk about anything you want.
no. I mean, like, not necessarily in that sense. I believe that I think we differ in some
Yeah,
situations with
I
this,
agree.
but
I agree. We reached the natural conclusion of the debate. I think
exactly.
we found differences in our values, and I think that's fine. And I think it happens sometimes.
Yeah, and that's exactly kind of the attitude that I think we need to have in this whole thing, right? Towards amongst us vegans, because us disagreeing on a lot of stuff, we can disagree on a lot of stuff, but we all agree on the important fact about what happens to animals, and it's shit what happens to animals, and we need animals to have rights. And like I find a lot of pleasure in discussing these topics, don't get me wrong, but they're complicated, they're complicated, they're muddy,
We still can't see you, by the way.
yeah. I'm putting the battery in right now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, I hurt my toe.
Oh man, that sucks. That's why there's no benevolent, all-powerful God, man.
But in this situation, it's your fault, Heri, that I hurt my toe, because we had this
Oh
discussion for
man,
a long time. See, so you. No, I'm
sorry,
kidding.
man. Sorry for violating your bodily autonomy.
Uh, let me see. I may need to. I'll be right back. Give me a second.